Hey everybody, welcome to another Good e-Reader video comparison. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we have the new Kobo Aura 6-inch versus the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite 2. Both of these e-readers are very different. As you can see that the Kobo Aura has a smaller footprint and actually weighs a little bit less, and the Kindle Paperwhite a little bit larger. Let's give you a sense of the specs. You both have 6-inch screens. Resolution on the Aura 1014 by 758, while the Paperwhite has 1024 by 768. The Aura has a bit better of a processor. It's 1 gigahertz versus the 800 megahertz on the Paperwhite 2. You have 512 MB RAM on the Kobo Aura versus 256 on the Paperwhite 2. 4 gigs of internal storage on the Aura versus the 2 on the Paperwhite 2. And you do have SD card slots in order to boost your memory. A battery life about 2 months on each unit, and both of them are using modern day e-ink technology to make less ghosting, less flickering, and a better ebook experience.
I'm going to show you guys the Paperwhite first. We have a very simple kind of cookie cutter layout. Black bezel, logo on the bottom, very clean sides, nothing on either side. Nothing on the top. The bottom is where all the fun stuff happens. We have a power button, LED indicator, and micro USB port. On the back we have a nice hard rubber backing. Leaves a little bit of fingerprints, but it's not too hard to clean, and a nice embossed Amazon logo on the back. And now for the Kobo Aura, you'll notice that the screen and the bezel are completely flush. It's all one big piece like you would see on a cell phone. Whereas on the Kindle, you'll see that it is sunken in there about 1 or 2 millimeters. So this gives the Kobo a nice clean look to it, more rectangular.
I'm a huge fan of that flush bezel design.
Right.
Kobo was the first company in e-reader world to ever actually do that.
They have a nice asymmetrical pattern on the back. You see it's kind of like these little ridges, and also has a very nice feel to the back as well. Nice
less fingerprints on the back.
Yeah, less fingerprints because there's less contact area because it's very textured. You also have an embossed Kobo logo. You have a glow light button, so you can turn the glow light off on this device entirely, unlike the Kindle when you can only turn it to 1%. You have the power button, nothing on the left, nothing on the right. And on the bottom you have the SD card port for expandable memory, and you also have the micro USB port and a hard reset button. So a lot of things the Kobo has that the Kindle does not.
Okay, let's look at the home screen. The home screen on both of these e-readers fairly different. You have more of a text-heavy approach. Bottom UI elements here, extras, and you get reading life and your awards. You also have your bookstore here with a lot of sort of text links, and then you have library. Whereas with the Kindle, it's more of a traditional top-down UI.
Everything is really image translated too, like that's a little shopping cart, so that's the store, that's search. Everything's not really spelled out for you unless you go to the drop down here.
So what's the deal with all of this? Well, anything that you side load on or you have accessed recently will appear here on your main home screen. So this is dynamic and this will change quite often. Whereas with the Kindle, you see here that these are mainly buying decisions. So these are books not on your unit, but these are books that Amazon's trying to sell you. And then at the top here you have sort of these are books that we've loaded on or purchased and things like that. Okay, so an e-reader is all about the reading experience. Let's check out a book and put these side by side.
We're going to open the same book on both. Now, because this is running EPUB and this is running its proprietary Mobi format, even though they're the same font and font size, they're going to display them differently because they're just formatted that way.
And keep in mind that this is a side-loaded title,
Absolutely.
Right? So this is the same book in EPUB on the Kobo and Mobi on the Kindle Paperwhite 2.
Page turns are very nice, very quick. You can both tap or you can swipe. They both have long presses, so you can long press on something. And you can do a word or you can do a section. and you can take highlights and notes. So you can make little highlights there. You can also long press to make notes and share to Facebook. They both have Facebook integrations, so you can go to share and they'll show you a little box here. Now this is actually really, I'm glad this happened actually. The Wi-Fi on the Kobo will turn off if you're not doing anything that requires it. So if you don't go to the store, if you don't go to share, it will actually turn off. And every time you have to go back into it to turn it back on. Whereas the Kindle, the Wi-Fi will always be on in the background. And yet it doesn't really affect the battery life that much. So I think it's almost a downfall of Kobo to do that.
I think so, because it seems as though that the Wi-Fi is always timing out like every 5 or 10 minutes, and so if you want to share, if you want to shop for books, you always kind of have to wait that extra like 10 or 15 seconds, and people are like impulsive, people have low attention spans. I could see that if you constantly have to wait like 10 or 15 seconds to access the store, then people might purchase less books.
Absolutely. You also have something here called Vocabulary Builder on the Kindle. This is something Kobo doesn't have, is everything you long pressed will show up here. So whether it's you've defined the word others or even, and once you have a big list going, you can actually convert these automatically into flashcards. And this can be tremendously useful for educational purposes, textbooks, and all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, for vocabulary tests, maybe if you're a younger child and you have to study up for something. Absolutely.
And it's cool that all this works on side-loaded books.
Yes,
And so one of the things that people have always asked us is, like, you know, can you make highlights? Can you look words up in a dictionary with side-loaded books? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can.
Even on the Kobo, you do have dictionary access, as you can see here, and you have the full dictionary, previews, and so forth.
Okay, now there's a number of options available on books that you have actually purchased from Kobo. So let's quickly load up a book that has been purchased.
I will do the same on the Kindle because there is a nice feature we'll look at after called X-Ray.
Yes, so let's make this font. I'll just bring everything relatively the same. Okay, so that pretty well looks the same. So as you can see here with the Kobo Aura, it does have some cool options. You can see that you have some of your reading life statistics here. Tells you, you know, gives you some statistics based on your reading habits in the book. But then it also has beyond the book, which is fairly cool. A little bit about the author, a little bit about like the main characters and stuff like that. So you could see all key terms in the book.
I think it's a really good feature.
Yeah, I like it, and it's much akin to X-Ray.
X-Ray is a feature that will list terms, people, things, characters throughout the entire book or page or chapter. It's up to you based on the tabs here. And what it'll do is tell you a bit about them and tell you how many times they're mentioned in the book. This Cross gentleman here has been mentioned almost on every single page, every single chapter, whereas, say, Brett has only been mentioned in the last half of the book. So if you click on him and say, who's that? It'll just tell you who he is, ex-boyfriend of someone, and you can click on a paragraph there, and it'll go straight to that point in the book.
Yeah, I would say that Kobo's equivalent is a little bit more graphic heavy because you actually see images and pictures, whereas X-Ray is a little bit more text heavy.
Right. There's no images whatsoever.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you definitely do see some differences between side-loaded books and books that, you know, that you've actually purchased. You actually have a translation dictionary and a number of like other settings. You can add this book to your collection and whatnot.
There's obviously going to be more settings on books you purchase from the actual company because, well, they have more control over that. If you sideload any old book, they don't really have any say in what goes on there.
Well, speaking of sideloading, let's look at the PDF experience because that's something that almost is exclusively sideloaded. So
we have a scientific PDF here. Has a bunch of graphs, has some characters, and we're going to pinch and zoom. Pinch and zooming on the Kindle's a little bit slower than the Kobo. Also, when you lift your finger off, it renders each time. You can't really catch your navigation, and you don't know where you're navigating on the page. Whereas on the Kobo, it's very quick. You can lift your finger off and catch your navigation and continue moving it. And you get a little mini map, which is a thumbnail scaled down image of the page itself telling you where you are. And once you let go, it renders pretty quick. And there you go. Same with the Kindle. It renders all right.
Now, the Kindle does a few things that are very interesting. One is that you could double tap and it'll actually reflow the text. I find that this is awesome. And this is like a feature that people are very intuitive for in terms of, how they interact with tablets and smartphones.
Right.
Because that's sort of what you do. You double tap and you isolate specific text. Kobo does not do that.
You can also long press like you can in any book, and you have all the same functionality. You have your dictionary, you have your translation, you have your notes, highlights. You can actually box whatever you want, click on more, translate, and you can translate to any language in about 3 seconds. There you go. We've translated it into even complex characters like simplified Chinese.
Now, can you do that on the Kobo?
We're going to try and press and hold something here, and it does no such thing. So you can't press and hold or get any other really deeper interaction with that other than just a little bit of zoom and, of course, landscape mode and fit to height, fit to width. So very bare bones.
So it looks like you do actually have some expanded features with side-loaded PDFs on the Paperwhite. As you can see, you could highlight, make annotations, notes, you could translate words, but you can't actually do that on the Kobo, although I do find that the Kobo, the whole pinching and zooming experience to be a little bit more robust, but I do like the fact that you can double tap on something and it automatically reflows.
Right.
Okay, so all in all, we've shown a lot in terms of the capabilities of both of these e-readers. What's the store experience like? Because it's all about, I purchase books from Amazon. I purchase books from Kobo. Amazon, I think, has about 1.3 million books now. Kobo has about 4 million books.
2.1 actually. So
Oh.
we have 2.1 total, all said and done. And you see the Wi-Fi is currently on because we triggered it earlier with that Facebook share. Had it not been on, it would research for the network if you access the store. So we'll go to fiction on both. We'll just do like a... we'll just click on any old book to get a good idea of what's going on here. So we have a preview. Same with this. We have samples, so you can actually preview the book. Synopsis. Everything seems to be on one page with the Kindle here.
You mean the Kobo?
The Kindle
Yeah.
I meant is that you have the reviews. You have customers also bought. You have the reviews from like New York Times, and then you also have whether it's X-ray embedded and all that. But the Kobo seems to be a lot more limiting in what it previews when you look at a book.
Right, and you also notice that most of the Kobo books don't have ratings on them right now or reviews. It's because Kobo, for the longest time, was pulling its metadata information from Goodreads, which Amazon had purchased, and Kobo, about a month ago, for no reason other than they said that they are going to re-implement it at a later time, but I have a feeling that they're never going to do it, that you don't have ratings or reviews on any of their books anymore, which makes the whole process of discovery a little bit more limiting because, say with Amazon here,
you have everything
yeah,
here. You have
you have
editorial reviews, personal reader reviews, you have rating systems, star ratings, you have percentages here, whereas this is all you really get.
Yeah, I would probably say you get a lot more on your standard ebook with Amazon because you could get a deeper level of understanding. Plus, it tells you if it's X-ray enabled. Doesn't really mention if it's like if you have that
Beyond the book
beyond
features.
the book, yeah, if that's relevant and things like that. So I think Kobo has a little bit more of work to do on the way that it presents its store structure for ebooks. I think Amazon just looks a little bit more polished. Okay, so one of the things that we haven't done is page turns in ebooks, and this is sort of like one of the last things we want to do before we do our nighttime reading test. Is what's it like when you put these side by side and you try to turn pages?
They're both pretty responsive. They both have their reduced flickering. You'll notice that the the Kobo almost never does a full page refresh because it does this very subtle gray out every other page. You'll see it gets a little pixely in the background. This prevents it from going completely black like you see on the Kindle every 10th or 20th page, but you do get that gray out almost every single page. But it's a trade-off.
Yeah. Alright, so the last thing we want to do is both of these have front light technology to allow you to read in the dark. Well, how do these stack up side by side when you're reading a book? Let's check it out. Okay, so we're in a completely dark studio environment, as you can see. Let's illuminate the situation.
We're going to turn up the Kindle Paperwhite 2 first, so that is maximum. Now on the Kobo, you actually have to turn on the glow light because it is always, you have the choice to be on or off, whereas the Paperwhite will always be on no matter what. So that's a little bit of an advantage in Kobo's category.
You can also, instead of using a slider, you can actually use your two fingers.
Turn it down,
which I find is very innovative.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have these pretty well on the same level of brightness, and I would probably say that overall the Aura has, I think, the advantage. I think that the screen is a little bit more white, and the contrast is a little bit more heavier. Now, you could really have a lot of control over your contrast via the advanced settings, and this is one of Kobo's better features that it's introduced over the years, that depending on the illumination you can adjust like the font, the weight, the sharpness, and that's something that the Kindle does not really have or allows readers to have a lot of control over. So of course you can change the brightness levels depending on your reading environment. It all depends on like how you like to read, so like 50% or so.
So even at halfway, the Kobo's a little bit brighter.
Right. Kobo's always done a good job with its front-lit technology, but I'd probably say its Aura is its best offering to date. All in all, I think that Amazon has the advantage of being able to have more control over the PDF experience. I also think that its ebook section on its store is good. I like its flashcard features, and I'm kind of really waiting for the Goodreads integration to be fully done via firmware update towards the end of October, early November. Kobo, pretty well what you see here is what you get. It's fully released and has good firmware. I'd probably say overall I like the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite 2 a little bit better, just because it has more easy features and it's easier to navigate. So that's our thoughts. Let's hear yours. You can drop a comment on this YouTube video. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/goodereader if you're watching this video on another website. And for all the latest news, previews, interviews, and industry coverage, you can visit the #1 e-reader review site in the world at goodereader.com. And for a comparison of the Kobo Aura versus the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite 2, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.